Yes, I'm not filming in my normal location. I made a video on Kabam Studios talking about why I'm not filming in my normal location, but whatever. Episode 7 of Star Wars Rebels Season 1, Out of the Darkness. This is Sabine's episode to kind of introduce her a little bit more to her as a character, but really not. It follows the rebels. They're out on a mission, and they're using this person that we really don't see or know anything about. And Sabine has questions. She wants to know what's going on, what's the deal, because they're always running from the Empire lately because of the fact that they're doing little runs with this suspicious character. And so we learned that she came from Mandalore because she used to be a Mandalorian, and she also was raised as a child to be a stormtrooper, basically. Which again doesn't really make sense because, there are no children who are stormtroopers. I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense. But that's another thing I talked about in, I believe, the last episode of my Star Wars Rebels review series. Because we know that all the characters are clones, so I don't know. But she was kind of raised in this environment where they're told not to ask questions, because then they think about the morality of what they're doing and whether it's right, and that gets them to disobey the Empire, and that's what they don't want, right? My problem with this is, we hear about this, but we don't see it. We don't really know anything about it. Oh, you were raised in an environment where you weren't allowed to ask questions, right? But we don't see how that affects her. We see how that affects her in this episode because she's afraid she can't trust them. But, why? She's known these people. She's lived on this ship more than Ezra. We don't know how long. We need to be introduced to these characters more. And they're kind of just hinting at stuff. They're not telling us stuff. I want to know. But they're just kind of giving us this little filler story with hints of characterization. This is what I hate in story-driven cartoons, is a lot of these writers think, oh, if you just hint at stuff, people could theorize in the crap. Well, if you never answer the questions, or if you wait too long to answer the questions, you're really going to piss me off. And you piss a lot of people off. Stop doing it. Right? Steven Universe waited so long to answer questions, gave unsatisfying answers, to the point where a lot of fans have dropped out of that show. Nobody watches that show as much as they used to. Granted, more fans have gotten back into it, but still, a lot of fans just dropped out because it just got lesser quality. It's a crappy show. Because they want you to think and ask questions and theorize, but they don't actually want to answer the questions that they raised. I haven't seen all of Rebels. I don't know if they answered these questions, but from what I can remember from the bits and pieces I've seen, I think they answer some of them. They go over Sabine's backstory a little bit more in Season 3. But the rest of the story is just her on a mission with Hera, because she's trying to get information to her and talk to her about how she doesn't feel like she can trust them, and she doesn't feel like all that. And they end up running out of fuel because of the events at the beginning of the episode, and they're stuck on this planet with these beasts that might kill them, and so have to use a plan to kill them, basically, or stop them from eating them and escape, right? And so Hera's excuse of this episode for not telling her crew stuff is, I do trust you. I trusted you with my life. Okay, first of all, why can't you tell us about this character? Why have we not seen this character, right? This story would have worked better if we at the beginning of the episode we got some flashbacks to Sabine's childhood, and they go on a supply run to meet this character, and then this character portrays them, and so forcing Sabine and Hera to get on a prison ship where they're stuck there, and they're forced to kind of just talk and communicate about what's going on. And then they kind of break out. And yeah, that's what I would think how this story would work. Because that way you see kind of what Sabine's dealing with, and she kind of tells Sabine, like, let's say it's like her birthday, right? And that's why she's having flashbacks, and because on her birthday, maybe she was taken from her parents or her Mandalorian group or whatever to be basically be raised in the Empire propaganda and crap, right? And that's why she's having these flashbacks, and that's why she's getting more frustrated, especially today. That's why it's sparking more of a thing. And she would have a reason to not trust Hera, because this character is suspicious, and we actually see the character, and so we actually have an idea of what we're dealing with. And you see what she grew up with, you see her backstory a little bit more. That's what this episode should have been. But this is not what the episode is. I don't like this episode. It's kind of boring. Like, these beasts, they kind of, like, yeah, they're like, oh, we're going to die, but I don't really get the sense that these things are going to kill them. They're kind of like wolves almost, a little bit. I don't know. And, yeah, and there should have been more of a side story with the characters on the ship, right? Them doing like a mission too, that would have added into the story a little bit more. If you didn't want to do that, just do what I just suggested, but you should have added that in. I think that would have helped out the story. And Zeb and Chopper are doing the same thing they do every single episode. This is getting really old. Like, they fight with Chopper, and they fight in the exact same ways all the time. Like, Ezra's on top of Chopper, saying like, I'm gonna kill you and crap. It's like getting old. It's getting old. Kanan doesn't really do anything except when he needs to do Jedi crap, but he doesn't really do anything in the context of the show. And in fact, he's one of the only characters that actually dies, which isn't a spoiler because it's pretty predictable. Like, and plus the show's been out for like a couple years now, so yeah. I didn't care for this episode. We're almost to the end of season 1, and I will say from here it does get better. I really, the show is not great, but this is the worst season. Just spoiling it right here. But I think Sabine is a character that could be interesting, but most we've seen of Sabine is like some hot topic, like ad almost. That's what she acts like. Like, she kind of looks like some kind of punk girl that would go to like Hot Topic or something and buy a bunch of crap, and I don't know. I think Sabine's a cool character. Just, I think they could have done a little bit more than they did in her setup episode. I feel the same way about Zeb. Zeb I don't really think is that amazing of a character. I think he's okay, but like, what does Zeb do really in the show? I can't think of a major thing that Zeb contributes to the show. Besides fighting with Ezra, which is not entertaining to watch, so